My name is David Rosen. I head up our Cloud Application Solutions group within Sony. And to my right, we have
Mike Ricosa with the NHRA.
My name is Karan Singh with Sony New Media Solutions.
All right, so today we're going to chat a little bit about a solution that we're all pretty excited about. It's one of the first solutions underneath our Intelligent Media Services group, which actually brings together a few different parts of Sony. Our Memnon team, our Media Cloud Services team, and our New Media Solutions team. As we try to bring these different groups together more and more closely, this is the first example where we have actually done that for a client in the real world. So we're excited to talk about it. So with that, the topic of our conversation today, by the way, is how NHRA is leveraging these solutions ultimately to more engage their fan base and to get content in front of them wherever they are. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Looks like it's a double click, maybe. There we go. Okay.
We're struggling to hear you.
Is this one going to go?
Yeah.
Is that a little better? Excellent. Now this is good because I can kind of get up, sing, dance a little bit, which I think will make this a lot more entertaining. The three solutions that really compose this overall solution for NHRA really are composed of both of C, Venue, and then another product we have called Memnon. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So we've already done the introductions because we did that before we got the slides. So let's go ahead and jump right in and hope that something comes up on the slide.
The National Hot Rod Association, life over 300 miles per hour. With the new NHRA.TV platform, you can stream the entire race weekend, up to 30 hours of exclusive content, plus on-demand capabilities and access to archival footage direct to your smart TV, your laptop, or your mobile device. It all starts with capturing the thrill of live drag racing at the highest quality using Sony's professional cameras. Then, with help from Sony's cloud-based Intelligent Media Services, the footage is cataloged, edited, organized, and then distributed to NHRA.TV, reaching fans wherever they are, whenever they want. Race footage is automatically uploaded to Sony's C Media Cloud for secure sharing and easy access. Now, remote teams can view, log, clip, and edit from virtually anywhere, allowing NHRA to move faster than ever before. Sony's Venue OTT streaming enables the NHRA to reach wider audiences wherever they are, on more platforms and more devices than ever before, opening new revenue streams for their media content and assets. And Sony's Memnon service will begin to digitize a library of rapidly deteriorating videotapes in order to protect and unlock the potential of the historic race content and never-before-seen footage dating back to 1951. By hosting this digital content in the cloud, it frees up space on-prem, and by monetizing with Venue, these assets can begin to enhance revenue. Sony's Intelligent Media Services bring the excitement of the track to you. We're helping NHRA increase their fan base and enhance their storytelling capabilities with minimal infrastructure costs and personnel. Imagine what we can do for you.
So I think that video said it all. I don't think we have much more else to do we? So the NHRA in 2015 had made the business decision that it was moving its product to a new network, Fox Sports, that it was going to bring its productions in-house. And in so doing, we had to create an entity within the NHRA akin to NFL Films or NBA Entertainment or PGA Tour Productions. And I had been through that working with NBA Entertainment, where we had built a digital archive system there that probably now is well up in the petabytes, if not into exabyte territory for its system. But there we had it was a larger organization that had an already substantial IT department and engineering group. So it was, and at the time, cloud wasn't in anybody's discussion. When it came to the NHRA, we knew that we had to kind of look at a way of doing and getting that level of production capability and protecting the assets of the association, but doing it in such a way that without having all this infrastructural cost and and building out departments. And where we wanted to spend our money was in growing the actual creative side. And our goals in bringing in-house the production was to, to expand our fan base, to control our messaging, basically everything that's in that slide, and introduce a new group of people to what is a pretty incredible product. People kind of scoff at, auto racing and stuff, but what goes into putting an NHRA race on the track with 11,000 horsepower cars running at 330 miles an hour over a quarter-mile distance in less than 4 seconds. You have to stand there to appreciate just the volume of that power. And just to put it in perspective, 40 cars in a field in NASCAR are less power than the 2 cars that we put down the track in one shot. So it's pretty awe-inspiring. To that, we took over our production, so we took over the on-site TV truck and the journalistic aspects of what we were delivering to Fox. And what we wanted to do was devise a holistic chain that would allow us to get material up into an archive, to make that archive available to the post-production group that we were building in Glendora, and to monetize the current library. The current library is about 35,000 pieces of videotape. And through this, Sony became somewhat of a natural partner in one aspect, because all of our imaging equipment is Sony cameras. But it was through that relationship that I got introduced to a number of different groups at Sony. David on the Seaside, Curran and others on Venue, and we kind of saw all the various pieces that could make up a cloud environment for us, and it was just a matter of getting us all into the same room to talk about how do we do this together. So we built a chain. The mobile unit, the 16 cameras that we have on each event are recorded into broadcast level servers. The servers, using specific metadata tags, deliver the product out of those servers on a 10 gig network to a catch server that then is attached to the cloud, and using Aspera and specialized tools that Sony developed for us to move that material up into the proper folders up in the cloud. We are currently working together on developing logging tools and stuff that would work with the NHRA's database of statistical data to automatically tag all those video clips according to the stats systems that are active at the track. And then from that, the idea was to have that material also, be available to monetize and deliver to our fans, especially the hardcore fans that want to see every single minute of time on the track. We produce 30 hours of video every weekend, of which only about maybe 5 to 7 hours appears on Fox. So that leaves up, 23 to 25 hours worth of material that we still need to make available to the fans who want, and the families of the racers. And that's where the Venue side came into play. I'm going to let David talk about the C aspects of this, and we'll.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. That's a great overview. So I think the interesting thing about this, and one of the reasons that NHRA was interested in a cloud-based solution is, I don't know if you saw on the other slide, I might pop back real quick. Yeah, there's 125 member tracks. So that's a lot of locations to be at, to be able to consistently turn out product from. So having the consistency of a solution that it really doesn't matter where you are, as long as you've got connectivity, you'll be able to have that consistent production experience. I think that was a really important consideration. And looking at this overall flow, I think a couple aspects that Mike touched on. One is quickly getting content up into a location that it can be made available to multiple teams for multiple purposes, right? So one is the editorial team. So previously, if you're familiar with how a lot of kind of broadcast truck production is done, they're going to get a lot of that content saved off to servers, and then that content has to be copied typically off to hard drives and then sent somewhere where the editorial team can begin to get to work and turn out any programs they need to turn out from that. So one of the innovations in this particular workflow is content now is going directly from those trucks up into the cloud. So now the editorial team can begin putting those programs together immediately. And they do that by having access to search for and browse for content in C, and then immediately pull that into their editorial environment. So a lot of these folks are using Premiere. C has a Premiere panel plugin. So without leaving Premiere, they can just have access to all of that content as it's coming in, just as seamlessly as if it was local to them. And then also to point out the concept of having that 50-year archive, is that right?
50, yes, 1951 was, so it goes back that far.
Yeah, so a lot of original content that really right now is locked up in physical media. This is where Memnon, a Sony company, comes into play. They're able to obviously digitize that content, put it into a format that's going to make sense for monetization or at least for preservation. And then that content can be pushed directly up into C. So not only does our editorial team, I consider us one big team. Not only does our editorial team have access to the content coming from the track, they now can have access to all of that historical content. And that's a work in progress. All of that content has not been digitized yet, but that's absolutely the plan.
But also to the Memnon side, one of the things that we're working with them to try to figure out just to the value level is using AI as a means of identifying that older content. So either through facial recognition or image recognition and or speech to text. But obviously we present a lot of challenges to speech to text because you heard the noise, those car noises and stuff. So that's just a whole hell of a lot of white noise that they're going to have to, their speech to text engine is going to have to filter through. So they like a challenge.
I was going to say, now is a perfect time to, shout out to AWS and say, hey, this is something that we'd love to see improved. Is the ability to, learn from the fact that this particular set of content typically does have a whole bunch of loud background noise. How do we deal with that? And, I know there's a lot of smart people in this room that can probably help us achieve that. And I think that'll go a long way.
Agreed.
All right, so again, that content that is digitized gets put into C so that it can feed two masters, really. One is the editorial team, but the other is the monetization team, and that's where Venue comes into play. So now, not only is it the active races and maybe things from that particular season, there's an opportunity to really delve into that historical library and make that available as well. So a lot of good benefits in not only preserving that physical media that quite literally is deteriorating. I mean, there's no getting around it. That stuff deteriorates and it is lost forever. So there's a practical reason to want to maintain that from a legacy standpoint. But there's also the value that exists in there and the other ways that NHRA then can package that content together and monetize it. All right, another key part of the solution, and I've mentioned this a couple of times already, is C, so Media Platform and Production Collaboration. The way it's being used in this solution is listed here. So there's live logging. At the track location, there is a elemental encoder. That elemental encoder is pushing a stream up into the cloud where it is made available to the OTT service and also to C. It's going into C so that loggers, wherever they are, can use our Media Log application to begin logging information against those files along the timeline. Simultaneously, NHRA has a fantastic stats collection database that in real time is capturing all of the statistics about every single race, who's in what lane, how fast they were going when they went past a certain spot on the track, I think even who the sponsors are, all sorts of stuff. And all of that information could then be imported directly into Media Log, enriched even further, and then searched upon by not only the editorial team, but potential sponsors as well. So a lot of good information that is then applied directly to those clips that are getting pushed up into C. And then I mentioned already the immediate editorial access. That's a big win as far as efficiency. And we're also, NHRA is working with Bebop. For those of you unfamiliar, Bebop basically virtualizes editorial workstations and enables editors to edit directly in the cloud. Well, that's obviously beneficial when your content is in the cloud. So by virtue of using a Premiere plugin with Bebop and all that content existing in C, once the content's going into C, it never has to leave until it's time to distribute it. And depending on who you're distributing it to, it may never leave anyway. So huge benefit there. And then the social media teams have the ability to be clipping content. So all of that logged information that is, time code based, so, from, this particular frame to this particular frame, there's a race happening with, John Force, let's say. Social media teams can quickly search for John Force, find that race, and clip that out and make it available to social. So benefits to that team as well. And then obviously just the benefit of having a central content repository that can feed monetization workflows and venue, editorial teams, social teams, marketing and promo teams, huge benefit there. All right, and now I'm going to hand it over to Karan to talk a little bit about venue.
Good try. Hi. So my name is Karan Singh. As mentioned, I'm the Director of Product at Sony New Media Solutions, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Venue. Venue is our white label OTT platform, which is powering everything for the delivery of VOD and live assets for the NHRA experience. And that's actually done for both the NHRA.TV applications as well as NHRA.com. So what is Venue? So Venue, the NHRA team uses Venue to come in, they manage all their VOD assets, including all the metadata, the avails, whether that content is free, SVOD, or advertising based as it is on NHRA.com. They manage those videos and organize them into video collections within the CMS itself, and then decide how that is going to appear within the front-end applications, all completely within the system itself. They also manage all their subscriptions, all their customers, manage customer entitlements, and which also gives the Bebop team, who is also a part of the customer service arm of what we do with the NHRA, to help facilitate any issues or assist with any issues that customers may have. Now, talking about live, live is a huge part of what the NHRA does. And as Mike mentioned, they stream up to 30 hours or more of content every race weekend. And so Venue actually has integrated with Amazon's Media Live service to transcode all the live content that's coming in. That is all configured within Venue itself. So a content manager can come in, they can facilitate or create a new live stream at any point. They can make adjustments to that live stream on the fly. And then we work with Amazon to transcode that content, and then it gets sent to Amazon's media packager, where we then create the VOD assets post-race for live events. So after a live event has expired, we create a VOD asset that's available within moments of that end of the race. And so users can access that almost immediately. We also use Media Packager to create something that's very unique for the NHRA experience, which is audio-only channels. So these races can be 12 hours plus at any given time, and so the users want to take that with them. And so by using Media Packager, we create an audio-only stream that the users can turn on or off. It's available with every live event that we do, and in some cases there are certain events that are audio-only, are only available as audio-only, and so users can access that at any point. And then from there, from live, they take those assets, they move it into Venue, and then also we also send some of the live stream to the C team for their live logging component as well. And then we deliver that content directly to the applications themselves on the front end. And on the front end side, we launched this year with support for web, iOS, Android, Roku, Apple TV, and we also have support for Chromecast as well. That's pretty much it.
Some of the things that we're looking to move forward with and the way we want to monetize or use some of that content. Currently, NHRA.TV is a subscription service, and through our partnership with Sony and Sony Professional Products, we're also looking at web streaming cameras that we would potentially deploy in the pits to give fans alternate places to go and things to look at, like the thrashing of an engine in between races. We're also looking one of the goals is transactional video, which is one of the next steps that we're moving toward. Taking that metadata that we are live logging from the site and giving the user in the daily live stream, or that ability, currently they have the ability to shuttle backward in the video or forward again. But what we want to do is introduce the ability to basically put in, criteria to actually show specific runs or specific elements that are important to them, and then potentially roll that out, not potentially, but do roll that out in the future to somebody who may not be as interested in doing a annual subscription, but might be interested in just checking out runs of a nephew or a friend that they heard about. So transactional is on our roadmap and relatively soon.
Yeah. And then one other thing actually I wanted to touch on that's actually very unique for the NHRA is for every live event, we actually are able to, using Media Packager, working with the Amazon team, we actually have allowed users to use the DVR feature, which allows them to pause, rewind live streams up to 12 hours. So when we originally launched, we actually had, I think the limit was much shorter than that, but working with the Amazon team, we were able to expand that and give the users a very unique viewing experience, so they can take the stream as they want, where they want, and consume it however they choose.
And one of my goals with the association is to use technology to try to drive fan base. And so in addition to our relationship with Sony, we also have a relationship with other entities like Dolby Laboratories, and we have been very actively working with them in a product called Atmos, which is the 10-channel sound that makes you feel like you are in the venue. And Sony has picked up the challenge that we gave them to integrate Atmos capability into both our VOD and our live streams, and thereby they're also challenging AWS to help us process that through the supply chain.
So that's the spiel, as they say. But Mike, let me ask you a question. We've been at this for a while now, and we launched. When did we launch?
February of this year.
February 2.
So how have things gone as far as you had your original goals, what you're trying to achieve, getting a much more engaged fan base, making content available to more people in different ways? How are we tracking?
I think we're doing great. With any startup, you have your initial speed bumps to stay in the car, sort of afternoon. But we're growing. We get positive feedback about the quality. We had a product that was out there prior to our association with Sony, and the feedback that we've gotten is our quality is tremendously improved. Our access through the multiple platforms is greatly improved. So we're heading in the right direction. Now it's the matter of bringing all these other elements that we have on our to-do list or our roadmap to fruition.
And I think it goes without saying, we didn't mention this too much, we mentioned Elemental, but clearly everything that we're talking about here is built on AWS, so I hope that's clear. We're taking advantage of lots of services that they offer, not just at the infrastructure layer, but also a more application layer functionality. So we mentioned Media Live, Media Packager. We're using all different tiers of S3 storage, from standard to infrequent access to Glacier. I think there's value in considering the deep archive with Glacier at some point, as soon as we get the majority of the content digitized. Again, because we're in a pure OTT play here, which means all the proxies can stay online, where we're still pushing those high-res preservation mezzanine files down to lower-tiered storage. So that's been very, very useful for us, and the platforms that we've built on top of AWS enable seamless interaction with that content regardless of what storage tier it's on. So I think that's a benefit as well. Anything else I'm missing?
No, I think open it up to questions. We only have a couple more minutes.
We did that on purpose. We don't have any hard questions. No, but really, guys, if there's any questions that you have in particular about kind of what we're doing, technologies we're engaged with, or anything else we talked about, please, now's the time.
Or how to say my name.
Exactly. Karan. You have to roll the R. I learned outside. Not all at once.
Cool.
We're Shane.
All right. Well, hey, guys, thank you very much for your time. If there's any questions,
you.
there's a booth outside. You're more than welcome to stop by and dive in.
Thank you.